A documentary about the Lisbon Maru, a Japanese cargo ship that sank in the East China Sea during World War II, is soon going to be officially released. Over 1,000 British prisoners of war were on board at the time when a group of Chinese fishers managed to save hundreds of them. Cao Chufeng caught up with the director and history advisor for the film to learn what inspired them to dedicate 8 years to the project.
It's a truly devastating story.
They panicked.
The U.S. Army struck the Lisbon Maru with a torpedo. But as it started to sink, over 1,800 British prisoners of war were locked below deck in 3 separate holds by the Japanese crew.
The men on board this ship, first of all, they were involved in the fighting against the Japanese and many were killed. Then they went to prisoner of war camp and many caught diseases and died. Then they were put on the ship and 800 plus died when the ship sank. Of the survivors, 200 more died within a few months of exposure and exhaustion and further diseases.
But the actions of nearby Chinese fishers offered a ray of hope in the darkness. Over 250 of them saved more than 380 British prisoners of war from drowning, despite coming under fire from Japanese soldiers.
You've got this incredible fact that ordinary Chinese fishermen, when they saw this big ship coming out of nowhere and sinking, and then these strange people floating in the water, they did go out and they rescued hundreds of them.
The story wasn't easy to translate into film. Over 100 families were interviewed, and it took 8 years to finish the film. And the producer also had to take up the role of director to finish the project.
Because nobody can help me. Because it takes so long. First of all, who has time for so many years? At minimum 6 years. That's one thing. The other thing is, nobody knows how to do this film, how to tell the story. We have so much footage. Even for editing, it took us 2 years.
But despite the challenges, Fang believed the history was so important that he had to tell the story at all costs.
This is my lifetime project. I have to do it. If I don't do it, I will be blamed by God. Really.
There are many layers to the story of the Lisbon Maru. For the historian behind the project, Tony Benham, the most important is wars only create victims. While for producer and director Fang Li, there's another moral lesson, the need to value peace. The documentary is scheduled for release to the general public in China this Friday.
The sinking of the Lisbon Maru isn't well known to the public. That's why it is important for historians and filmmakers to retell stories like these, so we can better appreciate peace and the value of human lives. Cao Chufeng, CGTN, Beijing.